Hello and welcome. I'm Yuki. There is a cupboard in my mother's kitchen where nothing has a date on it. Not one thing. No use by, no best before, nothing to check, and nothing to throw away. Some of what is in there is older than my nephew, and my nephew is at university. She opens it, takes what she needs, closes it again. And it has been going on like that for 50 years. I thought about that cupboard for a long time because in my own kitchen, I was throwing food away every single week and feeling awful about it. Half a bag of leaves, something at the back, a thing I bought with a plan attached, and then the plan changed. And what I had assumed for years was that this was a discipline problem, that I needed to plan better, shop better, be a more organized person. I don't think that anymore. I think I was doing something quite different from what my mother does, and I had never noticed. So instead of asking how to waste less food, I'd like to ask you something else today. What is in your fridge right now that's on a countdown? Because almost all of it will be, and that turns out not to be inevitable. Let me show you. Let's begin. I want to start with the strangest object in that cupboard, and I want to be honest that when I explain it to people abroad, they usually pull a face. It is a pot of damp rice bran, and it is alive. A nukadoko. Rice bran, salt and water, in a crock, colonized by lactobacillus. You bury a cucumber or a carrot or a piece of daikon in it, and a day or two later, you take out a pickle. I'd like you to hold on to that pot because everything else comes back to it. And here is the part that does most of the work. You have to put your hand in it and turn it over every day so it breathes. My mother has done that every morning since she married. Her mother did it before her. It is not stored. It is kept, the way you keep an animal, and it will produce food for another 50 years if somebody keeps turning it. Now, before you decide that is far too much trouble, I want to describe the thing the way the people who actually use it describe it, because it is much more forgiving than it sounds. Ideally, you turn it once a day. In practice, if you forget for 2 days, nothing happens. If you go away for a week, it goes in the fridge and it waits for you. If it starts smelling too sharp, you add salt and more bran, and it recovers. That pattern is worth noticing because it runs through everything in this cupboard. There is one strict rule and then a great deal of tolerance. With the pickle pot, the strict rule is salt. Enough salt, always. And once that is right, almost nothing else you do can ruin it. I think a lot of us have absorbed the idea that preserving food is a precise and slightly dangerous business with a lot of ways to get it wrong. Most of what is in this cupboard is the opposite. One thing you must not get wrong, and then a wide, kind margin around everything else. Next to that pot, there is a jar that is genuinely older than some of the people in my family. Plums packed in salt, umeboshi, green ume, salted, weighted, dried in the sun for a few days in the hottest part of summer, then put back in the jar. They are extremely sour and extremely salty, and they will keep for years, decades in fact. And there are famous examples from before the war that are still technically edible. Nobody makes them because they are delicious. One goes in the middle of a bowl of rice and it seasons the whole thing. My grandmother kept a jar and referred to which year each batch was, exactly as if she were talking about wine. Quick pause. My ebook, The Quiet Reset, gives you a simple 10-minute routine for clearing your head at the end of the day. It's the first link in the description. Now, back to the pantry. Then there is a whole shelf of things that look like they have been left out somewhere, and that is precisely what has happened to them. Vegetables and fish, dried until they rattle, kambutsu, dried shiitake mushrooms, kiriboshi daikon, which is radish shredded and dried into pale straw, small dried fish, strips of gourd, all of them stored in paper or in a tin at room temperature for a year or more. What I want you to notice is that these are not emergency food. They are not the tin at the back you'd only eat in a crisis. Dried shiitake taste more of shiitake than fresh ones do, which is a peculiar thing to say about a dried vegetable and is completely true. The drying is not a compromise. It made something else, and the something else is better at some jobs than the original was. There is one on that shelf that is a small piece of genius, and it was invented by accident on a cold mountain. Tofu that has been frozen and then dried. Koya tofu. You leave tofu out through winter nights on a mountainside so it freezes, thaws, freezes again, and dries. It becomes a light beige block like a bath sponge, and it keeps for months in a paper bag. You drop it into a simmering broth and it drinks. It is the same food, weighing almost nothing, needing no cold, waiting quietly in a cupboard for as long as you like. I always think of it as the clearest demonstration of the whole idea. A fresh, wet, perishable thing was turned into a dry, patient thing, on purpose, using nothing but weather. So let me stop and say plainly what I think the real difference is, because it isn't discipline, and it certainly isn't willpower. You are trying to slow food down. Nobody in that cupboard was trying to slow anything down. They were changing what the food is. Think about what a refrigerator actually offers you. It is a delay. The lettuce is still becoming an old lettuce, just more slowly, and the clock is still running, and it will win. Everything you put in there is on a countdown from the moment you buy it, which is why a fridge full of food can still leave you with nothing to eat and something to throw away. Now think about what salt and sun and bran do instead. They stop the countdown by ending it. The cucumber is not a slowly aging cucumber. It is now a pickle, which is a different food with a different and much longer life of its own. The plum is not an old plum. The tofu is not stale tofu. Something has been converted once, and afterwards it is simply not in a race. And that changes the shopping, which is the part I did not see coming. If most of your cupboard is stable, you no longer need to buy a week of perishable food in one go. You buy fresh things for 2 days, because 2 days is as far ahead as anyone can honestly predict, and the cupboard covers everything else. My mother shops nearly every day and buys almost nothing each time, and her fridge is about half the size of mine, and she throws away essentially nothing. I had it exactly backwards. I was buying a week of countdowns and then losing the race 5 times out of 7. There is one more place in that kitchen that most visitors never notice, because you have to be standing on it. A cold store under the floor, a hatch in the kitchen floorboards, with a shallow-lined box beneath it. No power, no motor. It simply sits below the level of the house, where the earth holds a steadier and cooler temperature than the room. What lives down there is everything that wants to be cool, but does not want to be cold. Roots, onions, the big jar of pickles, sometimes rice. And I think this is the piece most of us have genuinely lost. We now have exactly 2 temperatures available in a kitchen: room and fridge. That's it. Anything that would be happiest at 10 or 12 degrees has nowhere to go. So it goes into the fridge, where a great many vegetables are actively made worse and where they take up the space you needed. A cold larder was never a poor substitute for refrigeration. It was a third temperature, and almost nobody building a kitchen now provides one, which is why so many of us are storing potatoes next to the milk and wondering why nothing lasts. There is one more thing in that cupboard, and it is the hardest food on earth: a block of dried fish that you have to shave with a plane. Katsuobushi. Bonito, simmered, smoked over weeks, then deliberately grown with a mold and dried again and again until it is like a piece of dark wood. A finished block will ring if you knock 2 together. It lives in a drawer indefinitely, and you shave off what you need with a box that has a carpenter's blade set into the top. My grandfather did it in the mornings, and the sound is one of the first things I remember. That is the entire basis of the stock that half the country's food is built on, and it is, functionally, a piece of timber. Nothing in that description sounds like food, and it is the most useful thing in the house. There is also a simpler trick going on with anything cooked, and this one you could do tonight. Things are simmered in salt and sugar until they will keep. Tsukudani. Little fish, seaweed, mushrooms, simmered slowly in soy sauce and sugar until they are dark and intensely savory. You eat a spoonful with rice. It sits in the fridge for weeks. I mention it because it is the most portable idea here. There is no equipment, no fermentation, nothing to learn. It is simply the recognition that a small amount of something very strong, that keeps, is more useful than a large amount of something fresh that doesn't. Most of us have a fridge organized entirely around the second kind of food. Now I have to be honest with you, and on this subject, the honesty costs a great deal, because there is a real price attached to all of this, and I would be misleading you if I skipped it. It is salt. Almost every method I have described works because of salt, and Japan has one of the highest salt intakes in the developed world. It also has a high rate of stomach cancer, and the association between the two is taken seriously here. It is discussed by doctors. It is the subject of public health campaigns, and the traditional diet is a large part of why. I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to tell you what to eat, but I am not going to present a cupboard full of salted food as simply wise, because it isn't simply wise, and the people who ate that way paid something for it. And the other honest thing is that modern Japan is not a country that doesn't waste food. It wastes an enormous amount, millions of tons a year. Convenience stores throw away perfectly good food every night on a schedule because of delivery times and date labels, and it is a national embarrassment that gets written about constantly and does not change. The cupboard I have been describing belongs to my mother's generation. Half the country now shops in exactly the way I used to. Let me lay it out simply then. The things that make you throw food away are these. Everything you buy is on a countdown from the moment you buy it. You shop for a week, which means predicting a week, which nobody can do. Your entire store of food is one machine, and everything in it is perishable. What you own is raw material that has to become dinner before it goes, rather than food that is already finished. And when something starts to turn, you have no move available except the bin. And the things that stop it are almost old-fashioned. A few foods that have already been converted into a stable form and are not racing anything. A cupboard that is doing as much work as the fridge. Buying fresh for 2 days rather than 7. One strict rule and a lot of tolerance rather than precision. And a small amount of something strong that keeps so that a bowl of rice is a meal. If you take one question with you, take the one from the beginning. What is in your fridge right now that's on a countdown? Look tonight. If the answer is nearly all of it, you don't have a discipline problem. You have a cupboard that isn't helping. And it costs about 4 things to change that. Which brings me back to that pot of damp rice bran in a crock, in a cupboard where nothing has a date on it. It is 50 years old, it is not stored, and it is not preserved. It is looked after every morning for about 20 seconds by a woman who does not think of it as a hobby and has never once described it as a tradition. You don't need a pot of rice bran. Buy one thing that has already been turned into something else and does not expire, and then notice, over the next month, how much less of the rest of it you throw away. If you want more quiet lessons from homes that make food last, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.